Adjust your frequencies because Slanesh's favourite Space Marines seem to have got fairly drastically upgunned. Hello and welcome back to Autobets Tactics, where today we're talking about another exciting Chaos unit leak, this time taking a focused look at Noise Marines and some of the new Emperor's Children rules that go with them. Out of the Cult Marines, they're the only ones that are left in the Codex because the Emperor's Children don't have their own book coming yet. But at least while their ancient composite kit isn't still looking too great, at least their rules are getting a bit of a glow up, and their sonic weapons have gained massive amounts of damage if you happen to be up close. Currently in the Chaos Codex, Noise Marines have been one of the stronger units. As infantry fire support goes, they've usually been one of the top picks. Mass Sonic Blasters and Blastmasters, combined with the Shoots Twice stratagem, and potentially Veterans of the Long War for +1 to wound, usually do fairly well at clearing out a bunch of enemy. It looks like their new incarnation is still looking pretty threatening though, perhaps with the biggest and most exciting rule of their sonic weapons getting extra damage when they're within half range. First let's talk about the unit stats and datasheet rules, then how they fit in with the Emperor's Children Legion trait and stratagems, and do a little bit of math hammer for one unit's damage output. So first up, the Noise Marines do seem to be remaining an elite's choice for 21 points per model, so 5 points more than the previous datasheet. Previously, all the Chaos Marines could be taken in squads up to 15 or 20. The Noise Marines are cut down like the rest of them to just 10, though that does seem to be a bit of a common trend for big meaty units throughout 9th edition. They are rumoured to still be able to be remaining troops if they're in the Emperor's Children Legion, much in the same way as Khorne Berserkers still get that rule for the World Eaters. Statline wise, they remain Movement 6, Weapon Skill and Ballistic Skill 3+, Strength and Toughness 4, +1 wound, +1 attack, leadership 8 and a 3+ save, so essentially the same profile as the standard Chaos Legionaries. It's kind of interesting that even the basic Legionaries still seem to get the same amount of attacks as the elite choices. It seems that even the most basic Chaos Marines still seem to be very highly trained. Keywords wise, the Noise Marines do get core, so they are going to be able to access rerolls and stratagems and things. Their Traitoris Astartes, the keyword for the new Chaos Marine Codex. They of course are Slanesh, have the Legion tag, and the Mark of Chaos keyword, which might well key off certain stratagems. It still seems that you can field the Noise Marines in every single Legion. I do wonder if they might turn out to be a bit similar to the Khorne Berserkers in that respect, where they don't get a Legion trait unless they're in their dedicated Legion, the Emperor's Children. I'm going to guess that that would be in another section of the book if it exists though, as it doesn't appear to be on the datasheet itself. The most exciting stuff for the Noise Marines though, I think, are the sonic weapons. Previously their thing was that they all ignored cover at base. That appears to have been traded out for a rule that gives them +1 damage whenever they're within half range of the enemy. +1 damage is a pretty massive buff, so it means that at close range even their basic sonic blasters will be smashing out 3 shots at damage 2. Weapons wise, most of the squad has the same profile as the standard Chaos Marines, and can either take bolters or bolt pistols and chainswords, or probably most interestingly, the Sonic Blaster for +5 points each. The blaster is 24-inch range, assault 3, strength 4, AP -1 and damage 1, but damage 2 within 12-inch range. That means if you arm the entire squad with that, you could potentially be firing out 30 shots at damage 2 out of a 10-man unit. I think probably the coolest sonic weapon though still goes to the Blastmaster. This is 15 points for a single model upgrade, though I think that it means that you can't take 2 of them in a 10-man squad anymore, which might mean that if you want these things then it might be more sensible to field them in small 5-man squads. The Blastmaster still has 2 different firing modes, either it's got a 48-inch heavy 3, strength 8, AP -3 and damage 3 shot. That's really quite a spectacular anti-tank weapon for just 15 points in my opinion. Or you can switch it into anti-infantry mode if it makes more sense, assault 6 at strength 5, AP -2 and damage 1. The extra range also means that it's more likely to trigger that sonic weapon rule, which means you could easily be getting 4 damage out of the heavy one, or 2 damage out of the light one. That'd be quite good for taking out elite infantry, I suppose. Finally, the champion can take either a melee weapon, plasma pistol, sonic blaster, or a Doom Siren. The Doom Siren is a 10-point upgrade, and it feels a bit like a sonic heavy flamer. D6 auto hits at strength 5 and AP -3, though you would have to get up quite close to trigger that extra damage rule. Overall, it's all fairly intimidating stuff on a unit that's far tougher than it was before. Finally, the squad's got a fair bunch of special rules. though admittedly it has lost quite a powerful one in that Music of the Apocalypse rule, the one that allowed slain Noise Marines to make one last shooting attack. That wasn't at all bad for a unit that might well potentially be shooting once and then the enemy might be focusing it. The ones that they do have, though, are Let the Galaxy Burn, the new Chaos Combat Doctrines for exploding sixes to hit. I guess the Sonic Blasters already quite like the Tactical Doctrine equivalent. They've got Malicious Volleys for the Bolted Discipline rule. It now seems that that's a datasheet ability only applying to the models with actual rapid-fire bolters. They come with an inbuilt Mark of Slanesh, which now allows them to fight first in the fight phase, whether they're Emperor's children or not. And finally, if you do want a cheap upgrade to amp up their melee just a little bit, then you can take an Icon of Slanesh for 5 points, granting you +1 to hit in melee. It doesn't look like they actually give up any options for that, so it's not too bad for 5 points. I guess in general they're not meant to be a melee unit all that much, but getting +1 to hit for only 5 points on a unit with 15 attacks might actually add up to enough damage to be worth it in the situations where you do get mixed up in combat. Overall, I think they're still looking like a pretty interesting unit. In particular, 2 wound infantry really aren't going to like fighting them if they can get up close. Seeing as we're talking Noise Marines, I thought it might be worth focusing on some Emperor's Children rules. A few of these also seem to have leaked out to the internet, though I think we're still missing a few things like Warlord traits at this point. The Emperor's Children seem to work out fairly well for the Noise Marines in my opinion. They get to ignore ballistic skill and hit roll modifiers, which is pretty good both for the Blastmaster and the Sonic Blasters. It means that you could potentially advance and shoot the Sonic Blasters still hitting on 3s, and the same for moving and shooting with the Blastmaster, and they'll be able to ignore the -1 to hit for moving and shooting with heavy weapons. On top of that, they also get 6s to wound, get an extra pip of AP, both at range and in melee. Not the biggest damage buff, but again certainly doesn't hurt on low AP things, like their basic combat attacks or the Sonic Blasters. Their Super Doctrine equivalent is a melee one, which I guess isn't super helpful for the Noise Marines. Hits in melee get a double exploding rule. The normal Wanton Slaughter Super Doctrine usually gives you an extra hit on a hit roll of 6. The Emperor's Children instead get 2, but I guess that's going to be far more useful on other units like Terminators. As well as that, they get to be troops and Emperor's Children, really quite nice for objectives secured and filling up detachments if you need to with good damage dealers. And it does appear that they still get the Excruciating Frequencies stratagem. Previously this was a rule that added 1 to the strength and damage of Noise Marine weapons. Now I guess they can kind of already get the +1 damage with getting within 12-inch range. Now Excruciating Frequencies will hopefully chase down their damage output with a whole bunch of mortal wounds, and it basically means that when the unit shoots, every wound roll of a 6 with a sonic weapon causes a mortal wound in addition to all the regular damage. In addition, their target can't overwatch or set to defend, not too bad if you're coordinating with assault units. Putting it all together, even just a standard Noise Marine squad that's getting in close with the Excruciating Frequencies stratagem looks like it should be removing a fair amount of just about whatever it shoots at. Here's just a few numbers on one single unit's damage output, though this is with absolutely no other synergies whatever besides the stratagem, and they might be able to get loads more within the Codex. It's going to be interesting to pick through what options they can unlock. In any case, this unit is 270 points worth of Noise Marines, 10 Noise Marines and 9 Sonic Blasters, 1 Blastmaster, and all loaded up into a Dreadclaw drop pod to drop them into 12-inch range. 1 command point for the extra mortal wounds from the frequencies, and just on average, even with no other buffs whatsoever, that's about 17 Guardsmen dead, 6 dead Space Marines, or 14 wounds to a Toughness 7 vehicle. Maybe not absolutely awesome for all that investment, but I suspect there'll be other ways to amp up their damage. It'll be interesting to see whether they retain their crown as a decent fire unit within the new Chaos Codex, or whether or not other challengers like Havocs or Obliterators might be able to outshoot them a bit. I strongly suspect that Slanesh units won't be able to fire twice for 2 CP, which might take the edge off them, but I strongly suspect that Chaos is still going to put a lot of synergy on their gun units. In any case, let me know what you think, and feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. Hopefully we'll be talking about a fair few new Chaos rules in the future, and a full Codex review once we get a complete picture. Finally, if you've enjoyed the video, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.